All right, I think we got problems fixed.
I hope so.
That was a little crazy for a second.
Well, it is August.
It is August. It is August. All right, hey, before we dive into some news and some stuff going on, why don't you tell? We got a couple places planned that we're going to go do some investigations this week. Why don't we tell everybody about that?
Well, we're looking to go back to Casey Cemetery up by E-Town, Hell's Gate. I think I think it'll be my fourth trip up there. I'm not sure. I think it'll be your second or third trip up there.
Yeah, my second, which eager to go back up there and stuff. That was the first one we did as a group. Was up there and got a lot of cool stuff. It was super fun up there. Nice eerie kind of feeling. And of course, our nun picture came from there. Still one of my
Yeah.
favorites.
There, and then the other area we're looking at is Marion, Kentucky, the Pilot Knob Cemetery, where we had a lot of activity that night. We picked up we had a look like a shadow person, and then we had an EVP, and then we had some interaction with our spirit app we were using, where it was telling us people's names that were buried there, and we ended up with two guys by the same name, and then the guy's last name was Johnson, and it said J.O. So we went over the first tombstone was the wrong guy. We went to the second one, and it said when it said J.O. it was Johnson. So we figured that's what the J.O. meant, and then after that, it got kind of weird. We kept getting this Amelia came through twice, and then it said visitor, and we couldn't find anyone buried there by the name Amelia, but it did say visitor, and then that's when we got that shadow. My recorder died, and that's when we got the shadow. Looks like a lady standing there. It's pretty cool. And then we got a couple other places up around Paducah. We're going to try to hit three locations on that night, so we got at least two more investigations before we hit September.
Definitely looking forward for that. All right, we'll go ahead and kick it off with some.
Yo, can somebody explain to me what the hell is that? Where is it? What is that, yo? That thing is not moving. That looks like a flying saucer. What is that? That thing is just not moving at all in the sky. Come closer, you alien.
What do you think, buddy?
Come closer, you alien. I
What do you
don't
think
know.
about that one?
It's kind of hard to see what it was. It was so far out, but it wasn't like flying by like an airplane. It was just kind of hovering there. It definitely didn't look like a helicopter or anything.
No, I'm thinking, looking at it and stuff, I am thinking hot air balloon. Or not hot air balloon, I'm sorry, blimp.
Oh, like a dirigible,
Yeah, because
like
we saw, we had that one that came through Bowling Green a few weeks ago, and there were some people hitting some videos and stuff like that saying it was, but that's what that was. And looking at that now and stuff like that, I think it's just a blimp because they look, especially if it's a gray one, it's going to look kind of contorted and look a little different. So I'm thinking that's what that one is.
if you get around those big ball game stadiums, they're NASCAR tracks. You'll see the Goodyear blimp come by sometimes. I think Budweiser might have a blimp too, but yeah, they haven't called them dirigibles for a long time. When the old Hindenburg went down, that's why they don't use hydrogen anymore. They strictly go with the helium or hot air now because of that, because it's so explosive and volatile.
Too, remember, if anybody watching stuff, you got an opinion or something, think you got something, Reach into us, man. Let's talk about it.
Look behind you. Insane. Whoa, did you see that just shoot across? Did anyone else see that? Look behind you. Insane. Whoa, did you see that just shoot across? Did anyone?
What do you think you got there?
Well, it was lightning in at the same time, but it didn't really look like lightning, and it didn't act like ball lightning. Because ball lightning will come out and kind of bounce around, sometimes hit the ground and whatnot. It just like went shooting by in the middle of the lightning storm. I don't know, definitely unidentified.
That one was quick. All right, look.
I think it was hauling ass.
So this next one, look. So I put this up, and I got a few videos on it and stuff like that. I want to talk about it recently, so I'm not really gonna mention a lot outside variables and stuff like that. But so you know me, I'm out to see something. I'm out. I want to see something. I want to prove something's real.
Right.
Okay, and I question a lot, and I always kind of tend to the scientific answer to things, and that's kind of how I lead. So me and another person was having a conversation with a third person. Okay?
All right.
As they were talking, a little bit of the conversation I'm not going to say it got heated, okay, but it started to direct at one person. And out of the corner of my eye, I thought I kept seeing that person's, it sounds weird, but eyes change. Okay? I'm thinking I just saw a little something, put it out of my mind. I didn't say anything about it, right? Conversation went on. So I'm talking to one of the members that was like talking with me, one of the parties that was talking in that group. And at the end of that conversation, at the end, they mentioned lizard people vibes. Now, the only thing weird is I didn't say nothing to him, and that triggered my mind that I swear I saw this person's eyes changing. Okay, and anybody that knows me knows I'm not quick to jump into believing things. I'm not fast to say, oh, it's a ghost. I'm not that person. I really want to, and that's why when I first thought that I saw something, I put it completely out of my mind.
Are you talking about a real live human? Their eyes was changing?
Yes, 100%.
Like they went blink, blink, and it looked different, and then blink, blink, and it went back normal again?
Yes.
Man.
A few times. So that's what made me trigger some of these videos.
I know guys that do lizard eye, like snake eye looking contact lenses for Halloween and in a costume. And I've seen guys wear completely black contacts or colored, but to just change in front of you like that, that's pretty bizarre, man.
And I never studied into the whole lizard people and the reptilians and all that stuff. I've never really been into that. I've started looking into it today.
Yeah,
as I'm just replaying things, and it was weird.
I think it was a senator or congressman. They got a video that looked like his eyes, like he blinked and they looked like a lizard eyes, and he blinked and they went back to normal. Like
I found a couple.
Yeah, because crocodiles and alligators, they have an extra lens that comes over, like when they're eating, so they don't mess up their eye. Or when they're underwater, they got another lens that goes over their eye. And then when the lens opens, then you can see the lizard eye. But when it closes, it's kind of like foggy. So they say if there's an alien type being that's impersonating human, that every once in a while that lens pulls back and you can see the reptile eye, and then it goes back, back to looking like a human eye. But it's a retractable lens, just like on them alligators.
Well, I'm going to play just a little thing, kind of explains it. And then a couple little videos I found could be fake, could be made up, because people make a lot of videos and stuff like that for likes and views and stuff like that. But I tell you, I'm not, like I said, I'm not somebody jumps into this stuff fast. I'm not somebody that's a micro believer. And
did it blink and change, or did it slowly change and then blink?
It changed and it looked a different color.
Like no blink, like it just
Like
changed?
I don't know, because it was out of the corner of my eye. I just saw a movement, and then when I glanced over, that person looked different and just had this just kind of glare.
Yeah.
No emotion, like kind of staring at me. And like I said, I didn't think nothing of it. I didn't say anything about it. I'm talking to another person later, and then they brought it up. And that's what triggered me to really think about it. So obviously, I wasn't the only one that saw it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I never would have said anything about it because I would have never thought of it. But here's what I found on this stuff.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Shadow Theories. Today we're diving into the bizarre and controversial conspiracy theory of lizard people. Are these reptilian overlords really among us? Let's find out. According to this theory, lizard people, or reptilians, are shape-shifting aliens who have infiltrated our world and are secretly running it. Proponents claim that these beings can disguise themselves as humans and have taken positions of power, from world leaders to celebrities. Ever wondered why some politicians seem a bit cold-blooded? Maybe this explains it. The theory gained popularity thanks to David Icke, a former sports broadcaster who claims that an interdimensional race of reptilian beings called the Anunnaki have controlled humanity for thousands of years. Icke's followers believe that these reptilians manipulate events to keep humanity in a constant state of fear and control. Supporters of the lizard people theory often point to evidence like strange eye movements or unusual behavior in public figures, suggesting these are signs of their true reptilian nature slipping through. Videos claiming to show these slips have gone viral, sparking heated debates online. Skeptics, of course, dismiss the theory as pure fantasy, attributing these so-called signs to camera glitches or human error. But whether you believe it or not, the idea of lizard people continues to captivate and intrigue. So what do you think? Are lizard people real, or is this just another wild conspiracy theory? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more intriguing content. Until next time, stay curious.
So that's just kind of like a little brief overview of what people are saying. Now, I'd found a couple videos and stuff that looked close to kind of what I saw. Okay?
If
And I'm definitely I want to research into this more and look into this. But, I mean, it creeped me out once the realization kind of came in.
if somebody has a attachment or a possession, could that cause their eyes to change too? Maybe.
Well, see, I'd read in that too. And so another talk process about that was that when you're in, so like in possession, right, it comes in the 4 stages.
Yeah.
Right. And when you get into the oppression, that's when you're getting close to where they're taking that full control. Now, they're still going to let you be your person and still let you be that, but they're going to have their signs and stuff that they come in. And one thing could be an eye change, face morphs, different clips and stuff where that phases is going on. So I guess it depends on which way you want to look at it. If you want to look at it from the Christian side of things and stuff like that, it could be some kind of intel of a demon possession. Or if you're looking at it from these conspiracy theories and different things that's going on, they're saying that it's aliens and it falls into the Anunnaki and all that and shifting in. So it's pretty interesting. Look at either sides. But here, check out a couple of these guys.
Well, yeah. Again, he was a friend of Margaret Thatcher, and it was Margaret Thatcher's cabinet that all the stories came out about how many pedophiles there were in Thatcher's cabinet. Her father, who ran
So you can kind of see it right there. That Schliff, his pupil went straight up and down. Now, it could be a camera glitch. It could be just something weird going on. But we know from the human, the human perspective, the human standing, that's not a capability. That's not something that can just kind of happen.
Yeah, definitely.
So I found that one, and then I found this one too. So see, that one was this kind of same thing as that last video we watched. I mean, could it be something going on with the camera?
I don't know.
I
Miley's
don't know that much about the cameras.
Miley's pretty talented. I mean, who's to say she wouldn't have some, you know, I don't know. I don't know what Billy Ray would think about that and everything. Maybe somebody doing some CGI, or you know what I mean. That's what I don't know. I've seen it, but I don't know. I never really thought of Miley like that. She got some pretty good singing, you know.
Well, the thoughts on that perspective is with them is that these are actually skinwalkers and stuff that's kind of infiltrating us, and they've taken these people.
You think?
And that's not really them, which is why I thought it'd be cool to kind of put it in with tonight, because you know we're doing a big talk later about Dogmen and Skinwalker Ranch.
Skinwalker, they changed it up. Yeah, I really enjoy them videos with you know, when her and Dolly Parton sing together and stuff. But very talented. But I never would have thought of it from an alien aspect. But who's to say they? You know, there's other actors and people. They said that they've disappeared and they've been replaced with alien clones and all kind of stuff like that.
So what do we really know, right?
Man, it's pretty wild.
Pretty wild. We got a lot of comments and stuff going on. They're kind of talking about it. Patrick says, you know, stuff that he's seen in books and stuff like that, and he likes to research a lot of this and stuff like this and things like this. Hopefully we can get him on the show sometime. He'll give us, you know, pretty good conversations from a different perspective, which is what we love. You know, we want it to just talk. Let's have a good time. Let's explore every kind of option that we can have. So now we'll dive. So the next few videos, it's quite a few we got to look. It's one of my favorite things to go over. I love it. So we're going to be talking about Dogmen, some stuff that happened at Land Between the Lakes. So we'll roll that stuff. Anybody got questions about Dogmen, we can kind of fill you in on what we know. If you know stuff that we're not bringing up, chime in and put that in there and let us know what you think. And Jesse says that Eminem is a alien clone.
What happened to the original one?
They take him, I guess.
Oh,
Maybe they got him in little sacks.
like
Like
on the Matrix, they got them in them little like pods.
little embryo sacks.
Yeah.
That's funny. All right, well, check this out. So this is kind of about Land Between the Lakes and some stuff going on with that. We'll jump through. I've got a couple of things too, just some little fun videos I found before we really dive into our main subjects. Okay? So this, of course, if anybody'd seen the documentary that's on Prime Video about Hellier, really dives deep in Kentucky goblins and stuff like that. Really big in this area because the Mammoth Cave lines and stuff like that. A lot of reports of these Kentucky goblins, stuff like that. Be cool to see one. I've never seen one and stuff, but I've been definitely reading into it a lot more, so check this out.
The goblins of Hopkinsville, Kentucky. On the evening of August 21st, 1955, 5 adults, 7 children visited the Hopkinsville, Kentucky police station with a strange story. Group reported they had witnessed a flying saucer. It landed near the farmhouse where they were staying the night. Little men surrounded the house, peering at the frightened families as they attempted to gain entry. John Sutton and Bill Ray Taylor claimed to have fought off the men for several hours before leaving to notify the police. The little men were short, monkey-like, with long arms and webbed hands with talons, large, bright, offset eyes, pointed ears. They found no tracks or marking outside of the home. Another officer reported seeing a meteor shower in the area, but no flying saucer. Media quickly spread the strange news of the Hopkinsville goblins, or little men.
So that's what's kind of weird about that. Like he talked about that the people in their house, this is in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, that they had fought them off, explained how they looked and stuff like that was in the police reports and stuff. But if you watch that Hellier documentary and things about that, kind of has the same thing. A guy said that these things would come at night and that he had fought them off multiple times off the property and stuff. And he explained, he described them as the same way. And all these events and stuff is well before social media was out there. So it's not like these guys could just get on Facebook or get on YouTube and see somebody else telling this story. These were like hidden police reports and stuff that was just in those towns. It's not like they made national news. So to have them being kind of seeing the same thing and kind of going the same experience is kind of strange. And going through that and stuff, and the pipelines, like I said, going through Kentucky. So they also said that it ties into Mothman and different things like that, because these cave systems go all the way up through West Virginia and stuff. Which, of course, West Virginia is a big area for Mothman, and where that had happened. So I found a funny little one there about Mothman.
The whole
check this out. Go ahead.
The whole Chief Cornstalk curse was over the whole area, West Virginia, Kentucky. That was part of his whole area that he was over, was Chief Cornstalk, and he did the curse. Why don't you tell us, why did he do the curse? Like, what happened, and then what did the curse kind of entail? Well, they called him up. He was friends with the white man back in the day. Like, he'd trade with all the forts and different stuff, the settlers, and they were all pretty peaceful. And they called him up to, I think it was Point Pleasant. They called him up there for a meeting, which was not a big deal. He'd go, they'd call him in, he'd go have meetings, and they'd talk about farming and trading and all that. So he thought he was going up there for a meeting, and then they got him in this like a little cabin or whatever, and they unalived him. And I can't remember if they shot him or stabbed him, but right before he died, he said, "You have killed me, and I've done nothing to you. I've done nothing wrong. I've done has been good to you, and for that I've now cursed this land." And it's supposed to be like a 60-year curse or something like that. And that was Point Pleasant, so they think maybe the whole Mothman was generated from that, and he's a bad omen. When he shows up, bad things happen afterwards, like the Silver Bridge collapse. There's been some other tragedies happen in that area, and then right around, I think it's late November or December, we've had some bad tornadoes and stuff come through that time of year too. So
didn't over in Japan or somewhere where a nuclear reactor had went off, but like weeks before, and it hurt a lot of people, killed a lot of people. And weeks before that, people were saying that they'd saw this bat-like kind of figure with red eyes.
That might have been the tsunami that took out Fukushima.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fukushima was so highly radiated that you would want to be at least 16 miles away from it, something like that. And those guys that went in there to try to shut it down, work on it and everything, a lot of them they call them a dosimeter. It monitors your radiation on your body, and they wear them around their neck or like on a vest, whatever. But what they didn't realize was when they got in that water, when they stepped off in that water, it was highly radioactive. And when they stepped off in there, it was just like cooking their legs. And so they had to kind of rethink the whole thing. But Fukushima, and there's another power plant, I think, in California that's pretty close to a fault line. And, they have a big giant earthquake on any of the coasts. You could have a tsunami come in. But I hadn't heard about the Mothman part, but I knew about Fukushima. It was pretty messed up. That whole environment right around that power plant will be changed forever. The biology and the ecosystem there.
Check this video out.
The fuck is that in the woods? Hello? Hello?
Pretty quick.
Might have been a raccoon or something up there in a tree hanging around the
tree.
It
definitely had a snout. Like you could see it. You could see a snout, and you could see some pointy ears.
Oh, well, that could be a big dog or some kind of canine peeking at you through the tree there.
But it looked like it was up. That's what I'm saying. It was up in a tree.
Oh, they got some dogs that could climb. I know them German Malinois dogs that the police, or those Belgian Malinois that the police train. Those things, I've seen them climb right up a dang wall and jump up and grab a rope and all kind of stuff. some of them dogs can climb pretty good, but I don't know. That just
Yeah,
looked like
we'll check it out again and see. Check it out again. Let's see if we can get our look.
The fuck is that in the woods? Hello? Hello?
I think that might be a big cat, Vinny. Like
Well,
a
just
big,
looking at the rail and stuff, it's going to have to be pretty big. It looked pretty big.
that might be a big, like a panther, because the way it was moving its head, kind of like a cat.
Or a werepanther.
I'm getting a feline vibe. It could be cat. You know, they got that cat man. That one lady was finding that smelled like cat pee all around her house. She's sitting on her back porch that we had on a couple of about 3 episodes back. We had that cat man. The lady was seeing.
I'd say if you're having problems with a bunch of like with the urine smell and the marking and stuff like that. I mean, we know bobcats do that tremendously. Like they will mark your house like crazy. And all around the area, so one thing to kind of look at, I guess.
Turn the dog loose out there, maybe he'll run them off.
All right, so one of the things before we kind of dive more and we go really deep into the dog man and really start talking about dog man and stuff like that. One of the things, like in our investigators, so you know, me and you had started the group, we kicked it off, we've grown it, it's pretty big now. You took that reign and kind of was the biggest part of that. You make a lot of our tools and different things, you know, more on the tech side and stuff like that. So every week I like to show something that you made. It's super fun. It's super good. So we're going to go with your favorite.
We call this the paranormal paramoo. And if a spirit or any kind of Indian one comes around and ring the cowbell, then we know something's around. And just in case we don't have enough cowbell, we got more cowbell down here.
Guess what? I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell. I could have used a little more cowbell. I could have used a little more cowbell.
That's one of those. That's one of those homemade inventions. There it is, right there. Why don't we kind of walk through there, Phil? Kind of show them how it works and what we hope it works. We want to see it go off one day.
Something that paranormal comes and rings that cowbell, and then we got Christopher Walken on there because he needs more cowbell because he's not satisfied with the cowbell. He needs more cowbell, and then over here's that's the more cowbell right there. And then I've got a couple platforms. I can set equipment on here too. I can put you can do like we got these cat balls we use. You can put these on there. If something moves it, or if it don't move and it still goes off like something's messing with the cat ball. These are a cat toy, but we use them a lot for paranormal research. And you can put a REM pod on there, like an electrostatic device or EMF meter. You can take the bells off. You can hang a pendulum on there. There's a lot of different things you can do. You can power it up with crystals and hang pendulums, and that's why it's got like a shelf and it's got another shelf. So it's a multi-useful device. But I've had several people on my team already told me if the cowbell goes off, they're going to run to the car.
And we use we have a lot of the devices like you'll see on TV, REM pods, you know, different meters and stuff like that. We use all that, but we want to kind of invest in making some stuff, you know, things like that. So Phil's really good at making that stuff, coming up with ideas, bumping that out. It's part of his Phil Billy creation lines for paranormal investigating.
We like I got these old wood blocks at the antique shop. We use these too. Sometimes when you're in an Estes session, or you know, you can ask them to say, "Do you see a letter? Can you tell me the letter?" And some of these have like little shapes and designs. If we think it might be a child spirit, then we'll try to get out on the floor and play with them like a kid with toys. We'll put these blocks out there, and sometimes we'll put a ball and see if they can roll the ball. Just whatever we think we might be dealing with. You know, if we got a psychic tells us there's a kid in the house, then we'll get out some toys, you know, see if we can try to interact with them, ask, you know, try to figure out why are you here? Why are you still here? Why didn't you go where you need to go? So a lot of unanswered questions is why we do this, trying to understand, you know, what happens, and everything that's paranormal may not be a spirit. It may be something else. It could be like one of your reptilians, or it could be alien. It could be interdimensional. We don't know what we're dealing with. That's why we do this. We're trying to find the answers.
All right, let's dive into Dogmen and Land Between the Lakes.
On April 7th, 1982, an event happened that still shocks people to this day. I'm Jeremiah from Bigfoot Society, and I share legends, lore, cryptids, and more. We're talking about the beast of the land between the lakes. The story goes that the victims were a family traveling in a motorhome, and they were formerly part of the Amish community. Their names were Levi and Diane, also called Lizzie, their son Stephen, and daughter Connie, which she was also referred to as Fanny Girl. When the creature actually attacked, the family was camping, and Roger, the witness, describes where Levi and Stephen were first attacked while gathering wood. This witness, Roger, described the creature as resembling a large athletic man covered in hair, not fur, with a shorter snout and ears lower on the head. It was not so much the exaggerated, monstrous figure that you often see depicted in urban legends. It's important to keep in mind that Roger, the witness, was 15 years at the time, and he hid under the motorhome in fear. He could hear the terrifying sounds of the attack, and then eventually he was able to flee the scene to try to get help. Roger also states that he believes there could have been efforts to cover up the incident, as it is what I've noticed myself is it's very hard to find information on this actual incident. Now, if you want to hear more or see the whole interview, you can go over to the Cryptid Studies Institute page by Elijah Henderson on YouTube.
So pretty good where he said, you know, that maybe they've tried to cover it up or something. You know, I had a great conversation last night talking to Bruce. He is a demonologist and an exorcist priest that helps us, and a paranormal investigator. He helps us sometimes when we want some help. We got some big questions, we'll go to Bruce. I was having a great conversation with him last night, and he had told me a story about the north side of Land Between the Lakes. So they built this big campground. These, at that time, would have been like your state-of-the-art kind of bat and trowels and stuff like that. That family got murdered in that area, like ripped apart. They never found any reasons why or anything about it. But they spent all this money in building this area, and then 2 years later, they totally tear it all down. Doesn't really make sense. And he had said that there's reports of stuff. They had military bunkers and stuff like that there, to where they went in and was actually trying to hunt these things and kill them there. And you can go up in the area now, but why would they spend all that money building this big campground, this big gift shop, this restaurant, all this stuff there just to tear it down 2 years later, circling around all these reports of people seeing these dogmen, you know, these werewolf type things, and then having the reported deaths there. Like, I think it said, like, it ripped the girl apart, and they found parts of her hanging in a tree. So it seemed kind of strange they would tear it down after 2 years for something that was a long-term planned deal.
That video you just played, that the boy, was he the only one that survived? Did the rest of them get massacred?
That's what it says.
Wow.
On the report, said he's the only one that survived in the whole case, and his story is that they were at a campsite. They'd kind of heard some noises at night and stuff. The dad chalked it up as being coyotes or just something out in the woods.
Yeah. Levi.
Then next thing they know, they were in a tent setting or whatever, and things just started ripping everything apart. And he had kind of got pushed to the side of the thing, and the rest of the family got murdered, and they found him ripped apart in pieces.
It was about a year ago down here by Franklin. They had some livestock turned up dead, and it didn't match any kind of a normal animal attack. It made the news, and the animals were mutilated pretty bad. But I think it was a year or two ago up by Carrollton. Carrollton's up there just east of Louisville, and there was something this happened over about a 2-week span. But I don't know if anybody knows anything about livestock guard animals, but a lot of people use donkeys. They put donkeys out there, or they'll put a llama, and the llama protects the herd or the donkey. Donkey will grab up a coyote or a dog, and it's over in a matter of seconds. It's kind of wicked to watch them. The donkey will grab a coyote and it slams on the ground. It's just over with pretty fast. And same thing with a llama will kick. They kick stuff pretty hard. But in the matter of 2 weeks period, they ended up with several donkeys dead and a couple llamas all up in that area. These are badass protect animals. Like nothing, messes with a llama or a donkey. I mean, they fight off coyotes and everything, and it's like these things, they come in, they found them shredded, so that made the news. That one wasn't covered up, but they don't know what it was that caused this, because something like that just doesn't normally happen very often. That's why you put a donkey out there with your goats or your sheep or whatever. And so that's something I do know about. I know we've got bears in the area coming through. They've spotted one in Smiths Grove and Scottsville just this year, and people got pictures of it out in their trail cams in the backyard. But they said it wasn't indicative of a bear attack either. That the game wardens came in, and they're and conservation scientists and everybody, biologists, and they're like, we don't know what this is.
Well, we got another one too. Another thing that kind of talks about the campsite and stuff up there. Here you go.
That's a video I did last year. We went out there to Lamb Between the Lakes, and we went to it's supposedly a haunted campsite. There's been like multiple reports of this campsite, and there's an old school out there, and there's also an old cistern, like a well. I think it's called the Cumberland School. But I had a plasma ball out there, and the plasma ball, it's like a glass globe, and it looks like lightning going on there. Like you can put your hands on it, the lightning will kind of ground to your fingers or whatever. And what I noticed there was kind of interesting. The lightning started swirling around inside the plasma and the ball, and it just made like a flame in the middle. And I've used that thing on several investigations, and you can sit here and plug it in. It'll just sit there and make lightning for hours and hours and hours. But this, I even put new batteries in it, and fired it up again, and did the same thing. And it's like something was controlling all the plasma and put it into one flame, which if you put your hand on it, it'll go to your fingers. You can't do that as a human. Like try to make those all go into one like that. I've tried it. If you play that back again, that's what was going on. I was out there in the woods at the haunted campsite, and we stayed up there all night. We didn't hear anything or see anything. I went over and found the old school about 3 a.m. We were out walking around in the woods. I finally found it, and but that was something I thought was really interesting from that whole investigation. I had a couple cat balls go off too, but I couldn't tell if it was paranormal or they just settled in the leaves, or it got pretty cold that night. I thought maybe the cold might be affecting that plasma ball too. It got down to the 30s, but anyway, that's my evidence that I found. It's nothing too exciting, but that was something I thought was interesting.
All right, we'll go through. What we'll do is we'll play a few of these Dogman videos that we'd found and stuff like that. Let everybody kind of take a look at them, see what they think. I would definitely check that one off as costume. All right, it's too good. Moving too slow. All you hear is about how fast these things move and stuff, and that guy's just hanging around, softly moving a branch down and stuff like that. I'm going to chalk that one up as my thought.
It was too clear. Everybody knows Bigfoot and Dogman are blurry.
Well, check this one out.
Dogman caught on camera in Georgia.
Show me. Where is it?
Dogmen are said to be able to travel alongside moving vehicles going 65 miles per hour. Did this man capture this speed on camera?
I think it was hauling ass, Vinny. I think that was probably more legit.
I mean, that's pretty fast.
There was a trucker and I think it was Wisconsin or Michigan, and had one come running up the side of his truck, and it was reaching in trying to grab him with his claws, running alongside of him like they're saying, and he ended up shooting at it. And then he said it was like looking at him in his semi, like running alongside, like his level. It was that tall, and he had a pistol or something with him. He shot at it, and he turned around and was going to come back and finish it off and run it over. And when he come back down the hill to run it over, there was like some Humvees and like government vehicles that are running there. So he just left. And then this was a story I'd read about. And then about 2 years later, he was at a weigh station going in, and they pulled him around back, which usually means you're overweight, or they went to check your logbook or whatever. And they said, "We've been looking for you. You took out one of our assets." And they told him, basically this thing that he shot at, they said, "You took out one of our assets, and that you're to never talk about this ever." Well, he must have finally talked about it. Otherwise we wouldn't know about it. But
so you're diving into the thought that the military knows the existence, our government, of things like this, and could maybe trying to weaponize it or use it.
Well, dogs and people can't interbreed together, so I'm thinking you could do whatever you want with modern science and genetics, and they may have merged the DNA and cloned the DNA and merged it together and made some kind of a hybrid human dog creature, and like you're saying, like a weapon in it, and it got smart and escaped. Because an animal human hybrid is going to be probably even more intelligent than just an animal by itself. So hybrid things are usually a little more tenacious. They're a little more they have a little better longevity, and just like you mix a horse and a donkey and you get a mule, that mule will pull 10 times more than just a regular horse. So just by the hybrid facet of it would make it a lot stronger and maybe even more intelligent. So, it's possible.
And you hear a lot of talks and stuff. Like every story that it seems to be circled around dogmen and different things like that is that these things ran along people's cars, chasing them, going 50, 60 miles an hour. That's in multiple stories.
This thing was trying to claw him, trying to get him, reach him, and he ended up shooting at it.
Check this one out. So this is actually where the army had got attacked, and some of these soldiers came out and said that it was wolf creatures.
This is why you should stay out of the Appalachians. In 2002, military trainee Trevor Hendricks and his Special Forces team found a bizarre frequency deep within the Appalachian Mountains. But that wasn't all. A disturbing blend of blood and chemical odor filled the air. As they ventured onward, a sudden ambush came. Not from a human enemy, but massive, horrifying wolf-like creatures. It was a brutal, chaotic firefight. Tragically, these beasts consumed 3 of Trevor's squad mates alive in front of him. Trevor and just 2 others quickly fled, narrowly escaping, but their numbers dwindled again as another soldier fell during the retreat while getting flanked. Only Trevor and one of his team members survived. Comment down below what you think happened, like and follow for more.
I'd like to talk to Trevor.
They've had to tell some people, I guess, if the story is out there.
There was a film crew came to Kentucky, and the whole expedition was about Dogman, and I've watched it. I think I've watched it twice already, and they've got one segment in there. There's one clip where they see these trees shaking, and they're like really big trees. Like I'm thinking, oh, it's a logging equipment, or it's one of the filibuster machines, or something like that. The way these trees are shaking, and these guys were seeming kind of jokey and joking around, kind of cocky and melancholy. And then they show them later, and they're just like all like chilled out, just like I'm done. One guy was in tears. He's like, one guy can't even talk about it. He's like, I'm done. I can't go on another one of these. And then like the homeowner guy showed him out, where he saw it and everything. And it's, these guys were traumatized, like PTSD, man, from whatever they saw. And, but the part that I thought was pretty intriguing was when the trees were shaking. These weren't little saplings. These were pretty big trees. And, so I'd have to watch it. I probably have to watch it a third time, but to see exactly where they went. But they were way, I think, in Daniel Forest, somewhere way back in there. They were like 8-9 miles from the nearest road. Like they had to park the cars and hike in because some of the roads were shut down by the rangers or whatever. But that was pretty recent. That's within the last 3 years. These guys are like, we're going to come to Kentucky and do a Dogman expedition, and then they kind of got their ass kicked. So.
Well, Jesse just brought up talking about Dogmen. So there's a movie called Dog Soldiers. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah,
but
pretty cool.
It's where the military went in, and I guess another form of the military was using these experimental dog/men to take out villages and stuff like that, so they can have military gain in different areas and using them against other military spec ops and stuff like that. And, dude, the movie's so funny. It's cheesy as you can get. I'm a huge fan of that kind of stuff. I've been, watching horror and stuff since I was probably about 4. I think 4 or 5 is where I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That was the first big one that I watched. And it's so funny because anytime I've watched that Dog Soldiers movie, as cheesy as it is the only movie that ever gives me nightmares. I have a nightmare every time I watch that movie.
Oh.
That's pretty funny. All right, check this out.
House emergency. This is Kyle speaking. How can I help you? Hello?
Something just ran in front of us on the road. We're in the ditch. We rolled over.
How many people are in the car, and is anyone injured?
There's 2 of us. I don't think we have any injuries.
Is the car on its top or wheels or what?
No, it's kind of sitting on its side.
Hold one moment, please, while I contact emergency services.
Okay.
Okay, the state police should be on their way in a few minutes. Is everyone still okay?
Yeah, I think we're okay.
What ran in front of you? A deer?
I don't know what the hell it was, but it was big. It looked like a great big dog. Standing up.
Was it a bear, maybe?
Maybe. Oh my God.
Sir? Hello? Are you still there? Sir?
Well, if that was a legit 911 call, it sounds like whatever it was come back to finish him off, or maybe was pissed off because they hit it with a car or almost hit it with a car. Or if it's one of those special government things that didn't want any evidence that they could talk
Maybe
about.
It's just like an old grizzly or something.
I don't know. If you look even at a bear or a wolf in the dark, they look a little different. The ears are different, and the head, the snout, everything. bears are a lot bigger and more round, you know. You wouldn't expect
Yeah,
a dog
the
to
big
be
report you see
standing
in all
up.
these like dog mag sightings and stuff is how muscular.
Yeah, most of them are always standing up.
With their legs backwards.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
All right. So we've been going into an hour now. Now it's time to really break in what the show's about tonight, what we're going to talk about, which is Skinwalker Ranch. Just a complete anomaly that goes on there. So many things around the area. It was an old Navajo area at one point. Then it got, taken and then sold. And we got a lot of videos and stuff talking about some different things going there. If anybody knows anything about Skinwalker Ranch or studied or talk about it, please chime in. Let's get something striked up about it. But this just kind of breaks down on the ranch and stuff like that.
Skinwalker Ranch, nestled in the remote Uinta Basin of Utah, is known as America's most mysterious paranormal hotspot. This 512-acre property has been the center of countless eerie events, from UFO sightings and strange lights in the sky to encounters with bizarre, otherworldly creatures. The mystery dates back centuries, with local Navajo legends describing malevolent shapeshifters known as skinwalkers that haunt the land. In the 1990s, the modern saga began when the Sherman family bought the ranch and reported chilling experiences. They encountered cattle mutilations that seemed surgically precise, livestock disappearing without a trace, and sightings of giant, bulletproof wolf-like creatures. They also witnessed poltergeist-like activity, such as objects moving on their own, disembodied voices, and mysterious glowing orbs that seemed to think for themselves. In 1996, billionaire Robert Bigelow purchased the ranch to investigate these anomalies, bringing in a team of scientists under the National Institute for Discovery Science, NIDS. Despite years of research, they found no clear explanations. The ranch changed hands again in 2016, when real estate mogul Brandon Fugel bought it and continued the research. The mysteries only deepened, with more sightings of UFOs, strange electromagnetic disturbances, and baffling equipment malfunctions. Even the biggest skeptics have been left scratching their heads. Skinwalker Ranch remains a hotbed of paranormal activity, blending ancient legends with modern scientific curiosity. It's a place where the unexplained is the norm, and every visit raises more questions than answers. This ranch continues to captivate those who dare to delve into its secrets, making it one of the most compelling and enigmatic sites in the world of the paranormal.
Nice little kind of overlay on it and stuff like that. When you dive into it, you kind of dive into the Sherman family. They were the kind of ones that I guess it was public or that really started experiencing things and stuff like that. So I got a little piece on the Sherman family too.
In the early 1990s, the Sherman family moved into a country homestead that spread across 512 acres of northern Utah in a region known as the Uinta Basin. But shortly after moving in, horrifying things started to happen. When Terry and his wife Gwen bought the ranch, it had sat abandoned for many years, and because of that, they bought it well below market value. Upon viewing the home, they noticed that every window and door had multiple deadbolts on them inside and out, and there was a large stake in the front yard with a bunch of chains around it. But they were too excited about the ranch in general to even think twice about this. But shortly after settling in one night, Terry saw a huge animal that appeared to be a wolf creeping towards their livestock. It grabbed a calf in its jaws, and Terry ended up shooting it multiple times. The animal didn't seem hurt, but slowly walked back into the bushes. When Terry went to go check it out, he noticed a foul odor like rotting flesh. Over the next 18 months, the Sherman family would be tormented by something on the ranch. They, along with many friends and family they would have over, would see beast-like creatures lurking in the woods on the property. Few of the family's dogs would be incinerated in the middle of the night. Their cows would disappear and then turn up mutilated, but in an oddly surgical manner, and they would also be drained of blood. The family claimed to see UFOs and strange lights, and they also claimed to see circular doorways appear on the property out of thin air. He finally got so scared that in 1996, after talking to the media, they sold the ranch to Robert Bigelow. Robert was a millionaire in the Las Vegas real estate and was also a UFO enthusiast. So when he heard about the strange occurrences at the ranch and the fact that the Uinta Basin of eastern Utah is a hotspot for UFO sightings, he bought the property. Robert created the National Institute for Discovery Science, and under that he built an observation building on the property. He moved in several scientists and vets to conduct 24/7 surveillance and research. On March 12, 1997, while conducting research in the middle of the night, a biochemist claimed to have seen a large humanoid creature looking at the research team from a tree. It had yellow eyes. The team fired at it and it disappeared, but it left behind a single oval track about 6 inches in diameter with 2 sharp claw prints. Many people on the crew witnessed paranormal activity and strange lights on the ranch. The ranch was then sold to Brandon Fugel, and he named it the Skinwalker Ranch. The Skinwalker Ranch is the most scientifically studied paranormal hotspot in the world. It has a long history of creepy, unexplained activity. What do you guys think?
Well,
So what you got on that?
Well, both reports from the family and the original settlers, and also the next group that was in there, all claimed to have seen the giant wolf-like creature and shot it, and it didn't phase it. And I was watching a documentary today on Dogman up in Michigan, and that was one of the things. The guy had a 30-06 with he had special book rounds that he was using, and like ballistic rounds, and he shot it, and it didn't phase it. Like these wolf hybrid creatures, whatever, every report I've read, if you shoot one, it don't even seem to phase it. Like they got a serious chest on them that can take a pretty big hit. I know if you're shooting at a bear, you got to have a special bullet because hollow points and stuff just bounce off of them because their skulls are so thick. You got to have 45 Desert Eagle, something big like that, or a special shotgun to even try to bring them down. Because if you got a rifle, you better have a pistol with you too, or a backup gun, because you won't get that rifle off your shoulder or off your back, your holster, in time the barrel already be on you. They're so fast. So, but yeah, that was something I just noticed that both your reports and the one I was watching today, the bullet don't seem to phase them. And then the thing with the yellow eyes and the weird footprints and the cows getting mutilated, that all sounds like alien stuff to me. Or I've thought,
yeah, I mean they have reports of like crop circles and stuff there too in the area.
Yeah, and then they get weird anomalies around that mesa over there, and they tunneled into it. They were getting materials like that NASA would use on the spacecraft. So
check this out. Check this out that you said that. Watch this.
I've seen UAPs fly above the mesa, hover above the mesa, fly into the mesa, fly out of the mesa. Are you going to excavate that site?
We're working on that. The mesa is a very unstable environment. The rocks, very unstable. Every time that we dig, that we conduct any type of excavation or exploratory activity and disturb the earth, it's very dangerous. We see material come down. It's a dangerous environment. We also don't want to damage the very technology or artifact or whatever may be buried in the mesa that is unnatural, that may be connected to the strange activity.
I think there's a spaceship or a time traveling ship from our future. It could be us coming back.
Well, that's why I put that video on there and stuff like that, because your theory of time travel.
Yeah, I think it's
trapped inside. Share your theory of time travel, because it falls perfect into what would be happening there.
Like you watch Back to the Future, what happens to Marty McFly? He don't know where he's going to come out when he time travels into the future or the past. When he comes back out of time travel mode morphs back into regular mode. Sometimes he ends up in a cow pasture, or he ends up in a cave or wherever. Well, imagine if that time machine materialized inside the mesa, and now that you got all these other agencies and UFOs or whatever it is trying to figure out how to get it out of there. And anytime you try to mess with that, that's why they show up. Like I've seen them shoot rockets. The next thing you know, these UFOs show up. You know, it's like, I'm thinking there's something trapped inside that mesa, a ship or a spaceship or a time travel ship, something, and it's got some kind of protective system around it. Because anytime they go around there, like he said, it's real dangerous. Or they get weird, like 60 hertz signals coming out of there, and then they've got like a dome type feature that they've identified with the ground penetrating radar. And then they've tunneled in there with that bore machine, and they come back with some kind of material on the end of the drill bit, like what NASA would use, which tells me maybe it's not alien, maybe it's something from our future.
Could be. I mean, they said it's one of my theories on our shuttles and stuff, so it's kind of weird that it'd be buried down into a mountain.
Yeah. Like, how would something get inside that mountain? Like that, inside the stone? which tells me it's either been there a really long time or somehow, like I was thinking, it might still have a protective field around it too inside. That's why everything's unstable. It might have a field around it, and the rock just can't crush it and implode it because it's got a protective field around it. That might be that 60 hertz they're picking up.
Yeah, like you're talking about one of the things that they get there constantly. Watch this. So I don't really run that the whole time because that's what it is constantly. But
that's what I was
one
talking
of them that's
about.
coming out of the mesa there.
That's exactly what I was talking about. I couldn't remember what the frequency was, but that's exactly what I was thinking.
What is a skinwalker?
A skinwalker is a shape-shifting demonic entity. It's essentially a Native American witch or warlock that sells their soul in exchange for immortality, the ability to take on the skin or shape-shift, oftentimes in the form of a wolf, a dire wolf, or a werewolf-like creature, but they can also take on the shape of other animals as well. It's a topic that I found the Native American community likes to stay away from. They don't like to discuss it. To even say the name Skinwalker is negative.
So kind of a little talk there about that.
Sounds like a very sensitive subject to the natives.
Oh, absolutely. Go check this out.
Incredible video trending social media of what looks like an extraterrestrial short gray. Now we also have a picture of this fella at the bottom of the video, as you guys could see. Apparently this home security camera, in what they're titling on social media Skinwalker Ranch, happens to be this baby little alien that's like 3 to 4 feet. And, you know, many people have claimed to have seen these grays. And sometimes they're tall, sometimes they're not. But, you know, if you look at the pyramids and, you know, all the indigenous people back in the days, they used to draw these grays on the walls of the pyramids. And, what do they have in common with human beings? Is it humans from the future coming back? Comment below.
It looked like he had on his Beats headphones, and
yeah,
you got to
only
get somebody.
problem with that was is you saw it walk in front of the cow. The cow didn't even recognize nothing, didn't acknowledge, didn't move. I think we'd at least probably see at least a head movement or something there.
You gotta put out Reese's Pieces, then they'll start coming out real slow. You gotta make friends with them with some Reese's Pieces. That's how you get them out. That's their favorite. That's their favorite candy. Yeah, it looked pretty legit, man.
All right.
Looked like a whole pack of them skinwalkers chasing
them. Yeah, I think, call it just me, but I think that if you saw something like that out there, you're not going to hang around for a few. Like you saw a little bit of panic out there towards the end, but they played around for a minute there too.
Yeah, he was kind of having trouble getting his motorcycle turned around, and then them things off. Them could have been people in costumes. I don't know. I think if you really saw one, you'd probably be screaming and hauling ass. You wouldn't be, you know, or you might video it for a while.
There wouldn't be some hanging around time for sure.
No, just get a quick picture video and then haul ass.
Right. Oh, whoa. Middle of the day, an orb like that showing up, that's crazy.
Last year, we documented more phenomena than ever before all across Skinwalker Ranch.
Whoa, what was that purple light over there?
Look at that. What is that? One of the most perplexing mysteries is something we first encountered 2 years ago. A 400-foot-long, dome-shaped object that's proven to be impenetrable during 2 different drilling operations. But we did recover small metallic fragments in the spoils that, believe it or not, are made of similar materials to what NASA uses to protect the surface of our own spacecraft. So what could this thing be? This year, we intend to find out.
I'm ready.
That falls into what you were saying right there about your metal pieces.
I'm ready for them to find out.
At this point, go in heavy and hard. Like, why are we taking so long? How long have they been doing this?
Several years. They've been having a show about it. They were doing it before that, but if it's inside rock, the only way to get in there is dynamite. You got to blast and drill and blast. But maybe they're worried or they're going to damage some artifact inside. You know what I mean? That's why that one guy said he didn't want to damage the artifact. That's why they. But
at one point, are you like, okay, this has been going on for years. Are we actually going to see something here? Or are we just kind of running this to see how long we can get this show to run?
Yeah. Yeah. The only way I know to go through rock like that is to drill and blast.
Like they had this is like so this is another test that they had done.
We're ready to fly.
Fantastic. New drone's armed. Turning on lights.
Lights are on. All right, we have drones armed, guys. Oh, wow. Look at that. Look at that.
Should be just about over the triangle here, guys. Hey, look right here.
What we got?
Hey, look. We got drones that are out of sequence.
Yeah, we do.
I just lost 3 drones. Losing 4, losing 5.
Well, how many drones do you have connected?
I have 80 disconnected.
Something happened because those drones had to return to the ground unexpectedly. So they all landed way sooner than they were supposed to. It's nothing that I can explain.
Something in that protective field, whatever's in that mesa, done messing with their drone.
Yeah, they said it was messing with the GPS, it was messing with the coordinates, and then eventually was just shutting them down.
Yeah.
Which they said there's some kind of like heavy electromagnetic field there, so.
Like a signal jammer. Something like be jamming their signals, and then the drones are like, uh-oh. And they lost communication, so then they return back to home. But
if there's something like that, wouldn't it do it to all of them?
I don't know. Maybe some of them had a little stronger batteries than the others, or maybe the whatever it is a pinpointed. It's pinpointing. It's not like a big field of jamming. It may be smaller beams that it's that's why it's just picking out some of them. It's a concentrated beam, like a little tractor beam, instead of a big wide angle array of jammers. That'd be my theory. If it only picked out some of them, but you get a whole bunch of them drones. They're technology. They're, how many times you get a bad camera or something, and if they're American drones, our American drones, they're proving over in Ukraine that they're not as good as some of the other drones. They're made in different countries. We've actually been getting our ass kicked a little bit on some of those drones. They've had to come back and go back to drawing board. So might have just been some of them are malfunctioning, but they do just fine on those ball games and different big events and stuff. So, and that company, they're known for doing aerial shows with those things. So
yeah, I've seen a lot. Like they were replacing like fireworks shows.
Yeah,
with drone shows and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think Miami did it.
Yeah, I think I watched that episode.
I think Disney's using them now a lot.
Yeah,
they're like Epcot show they do at the end of the night.
You'd think if it was like some big mass jammer device, it would shut them all down. But it was just, I'm thinking maybe it's more of a concentrated signal jammer because it was just taking out certain ones.
All right, we got this right here.
Skinwalker caught on camera.
I'm telling you, I'm getting the fuck off, and there's a reason why I'm getting the fuck off, and everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe it. I don't give two fucks, but I am telling you right now, that motherfucker back there is not real. And you can sit on this plane and you can fucking die with them or not. I'm not going to. Bye.
Okay. Die. He doesn't. You will die. So that's the. Okay, yeah, he's pissed. Die. We should probably go. Die.
I don't know about them cats, but that lady on the airplane, I think she might have seen somebody's eyes change or something. I mean, she was.
Yeah, that's not the whole article about it. So I'd read the whole article about it. So the guy that she was sitting next to was a heavy Satanist.
Oh.
And he had all these, like, I guess, tattoos and stuff on it. And I guess he just made some comments and stuff to her. And then she was saying that his eyes turned black.
Man.
Because he's actually released a video since it's happened and justifying his side. You know, he says he was just playing. He didn't know she would freak out, yada, yada, yada. And then she was a little bit inebriated, too. But
she seemed pretty serious.
Yo, it definitely freaked her out.
You got to be pretty freaked out and pissed off to try to get off a damn airplane, nowadays.
Yeah, she was definitely freaked out about it, about the whole deal.
That cat, man. That
one cat is that I've heard cats make weird noises. I've never heard ones that sounded like a word.
I never heard one saying die.
Right, but they definitely make some weird noises and stuff, especially they get around other cats.
Yeah. They get to hissing and everything.
I don't like cats. Never liked them.
I like barn cats. They eat mice.
Well, they're just like so prissy. Like they're so much better than you. They're just like, meow. I'm a cat. Fuck you. Like they drive me nuts.
Yeah, they can be pretty ornery sometimes.
Here's another skinwalker encounter.
A trucker named Trevor experienced something truly bizarre through the Navajo desert. Around 11 p.m., Trevor's truck began to smoke. He quickly pulled over and noticed his truck was overheating. He looked around him, realizing there was no cars near him, and he was truly stranded. Trevor waited inside his truck trying to get assistance. About half an hour later, he hears a loud knock on his door. He looked through his windows and didn't see anything. Suddenly, he hears something heavy crawling on top of his truck. Trevor knew something was wrong, so he rushed to start his truck. Another truck passed Trevor honking repeatedly. Trevor managed to take off following the other truck until they both pulled into a rest area.
The driver from the other truck ran to Trevor looking anxious, describing what he had just seen. He said that as he was passing Trevor, he saw a very tall old lady standing right outside Trevor's truck. As he passed right next to her, he noticed that the old lady had the legs of a goat. He was too afraid to stop, but instead honked at Trevor aggressively.
That sounds like Goat Woman. I've heard of the Goat Man up here at the Poplick Trestle up here in Louisville, but
well, I mean, they say a lot of your Skinwalker stuff is witches and stuff like that. You know, that sold their souls for the ability to do it, which falls into the Bell Witch that we've talked about before and stuff like that. And of course, Bell Witch, they say that they had saw wolf creatures and dog creatures out in that area where she was at.
She's known as a shapeshifter too. Yeah. But some of these creatures, they'll say, have like goat legs like that. Their legs look like they're on backwards.
Yeah, that's kind of like your classic kind of look for the look like a werewolf.
Yeah.
Kind of got those backward knees or whatever.
Yeah, it sounded like that trucker had a rough night.
Definitely had a rough night. So, really, just on the basis, that's all the videos we really got, to kind of show and talk about and stuff like that. So, all in all, I mean, what's kind of like your closing thoughts on whole Skinwalker Ranch and all the stuff there?
All the creatures that they keep encountering, those could be alien, could be some kind of Skinwalker, because it sounds like the natives had been talking about that area for a long time before the settlers even tried to have a ranch there or anything. They were experiencing stuff, but the more UFO type activity, that silver orb that appeared and disappeared, to me that's like it could be something either time travel or interdimensional, and it came into our dimension and then we saw it for a second and it was gone again. Or it could be some type of time travel device. But I don't know why you would have paranormal stuff going on and shapeshifter, Skinwalker stuff, and then alien all in the same area. It's like the alien stuff all seem to kind of come in later. So I don't know, unless the aliens are there studying it too.
It's definitely just like an anomaly. Like nothing makes sense about it.
Us as humans are studying paranormal. Who's to say that the aliens aren't studying it too? Maybe they're trying to figure it out too.
Or they created it.
Could be. If they got some technology, I'd be glad if they'd share some. Can help figure stuff out.
Any closing thoughts on Dogmen?
I still think if there is such a creature, it's a government experiment that got loose. I really do. And Bigfoot, they think Bigfoot could possibly be something like that. Could be alien, could be interdimensional. It could be a hybrid too type experiment. But a lot of the people studying it, the scientists, your cryptozoologists, your primate scientists, they all think it could be some type of primate that we just haven't discovered. That they're just really good at hiding from us, and they hide their dead and bury their dead out in the woods, and stuff carries off their bones, and we don't find any evidence of them. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on out there. But you get a whole family saying they saw something look like a dog looking in their truck window, and it's running alongside of them there. And, there's a lot of people finding these invisible creatures leaving footprints too. The Skinwalker found footprints, kind of an egg shape with claws. Your Bigfoot leave giant footprints. It's like if there's no such thing, what's leaving footprints? And I can't believe there's that many hoaxers out there running around with stilts, and they said by the compression of the ground, whatever it is, it have to be like 600-800 pounds. A human can't crush the ground down that deep. So that kind of rules out some of the hoaxers. And then they find the dermal ridges, and they find the arch where it breaks in the foot and everything. It's not indicative of a human. Or even if you made a fake one out of a board, it's not going to have all the features that they find on the footprints. I don't know why they haven't been able to bring one in yet, dead or alive. There was one guy I was watching a report. He was afraid to shoot it because when he looked at it through a scope, it looked like a human. He thought maybe it was just a feral human. A guy stayed out in the woods so long he got hairy, and he said it looked like a human face, so he couldn't shoot it. So I don't know. We're going to go back to Land Between the Lakes probably late September sometime, and we'll go back and try again. Maybe try some of the different areas.
I mean, I would say definitely want to go up to that North Point where they shut down the campgrounds and stuff. You could still go up there. It's got all access, and that's where most of your reports of dogmen and stuff are coming out of, is that North Point. And then like on the South Point is where a lot of your Bigfoot sightings and stuff like that come out of. So I'd say it'd definitely be cool if you could stay the night at each spot if you're doing a weekend.
Yeah, where we went was kind of a southeast spot. We were on the Barkley side, down southeast, and depending on where you go, some of those back roads, they'll get flooded out and you can't get back there. We were going down one road, we had to stop, turn, and go back because it was underwater. So maybe go when it's a little drier. I know right now everything's pretty wet, but that's why we're looking at September.
Definitely be a fun trip. We're definite. All right, that's what. That's pretty much all we're gonna have tonight. It's a great show. It's fun talking about Skinwalker Ranch. Definitely dive in deeper into that.
Yeah,
as time goes on, we'll talk about it again, I'm sure. And definitely Dogmen's always going to be on a mark. That's one of the big ones we like. Definitely talk about remembering stuff. We got the paranormal group too. If anybody's interested in learning more about that or anything like that, you can get a hold of us on social media, Facebook, all that stuff. Podcast, of course, goes out on Twitch, or YouTube, Facebook. So streaming on all platforms and stuff. We definitely want some more interaction of people. So hopefully as it gets out there and gets a little more familiar, we'll get some people calling in so we can have those good conversations and stuff and have more guests on in certain areas and stuff like that. So we get to talk about all that good stuff. That will be all that I have. Phil, you got anything left?
No, just I did talk to a guy who claimed to have seen a dog man. He said it was almost like your classic rain and storming. And he's looking outside. And he said when the lightning flashed, he saw it. It was kind of like hunched over and had its claws out. And it looked just like exactly what you think it would look like. And then he said that it was gone. And he's like, the image is burned in his mind. And then I've seen him up at the Crypticon, and he's like, this guy was still talking about it, like terrified about it. And he's like, yeah, he said, I look at going in the woods completely different now than I ever did. Once you have an encounter like that, you can't unsee it. You're like, okay. So, yeah, hopefully we'll get some more guests on, and we'll go out and share some more of our evidence, some of our investigations, and everybody tune in.
We'll have some good stuff that we pick up over the next couple weekends on our cemetery, kind of little cemetery tour that we're doing.
Yeah.
Definitely have some good stuff that we'll be able to get that on and have some good conversations about that. And maybe we can get a couple of the members that go with us on that or on that trip to come on the show too and kind of talk about their experiences and what they see while they were out there and stuff like that. Kind of share their expertise into the end of the matter. We have a couple Reikis and mediums and stuff, so it might be cool to get them on there and talk about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, everybody tune in next Sunday, and we'll come at you and have some good evidence. Come on.
For me. Or do you want to wait until after we eat?